Football fans, Gooners, welcome to the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast, the Friday edition. And today I have the pleasure of telling you we have Ehab back. Ehab is a quasi refugee from
Hey,
Ukraine, but he looks like he's well ensconced in a place that makes him look younger and happier. Ehab, welcome.
welcome, man. Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Yes, and George, as usual, my my ever trusted friend and colleague, Blackburn George. How are you doing? Just a smile? Are
Yeah,
you? Oh,
it's
okay.
there's two ways to greet people, Shotter, I've found. You nod, and that says, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. And you reverse nod, which says, fuck off, I have no time for you.
You better have time for me, George. And you have today we're gonna preview our game with Southampton, but it's in the midst of all kinds of developments over the past week, and we'll touch on them. I found most interesting and most significant the Granit Xhaka interview, but that is secondary to need to make top four. And
Yeah,
I am of the view, and I'm just gonna set this up for the audience, that there are no excuses. Southampton is a must win.
yep.
We have 7 games to go. We're 31 games, 7 games to go. Mathematically, we have a chance of making top four. And I think that it's clear, as we have always done, we fight to the last. We fight to the last bell, whatever this
They,
metaphor you want to use. And I most of all, this is a long setup, guys, but when you think about it, Southampton is 14th in the league with 36 points. We are fifth with 54 points. They have only scored 37 goals, 52 against. They're leaking goals like a sieve, a 15-goal difference. We are 45 goals for, 36 against, a 9-goal positive difference. Blackburn George, is there any excuse for going to Southampton and not winning that game? I start with you.
Absolutely, there's an excuse. Oh,
You're a shocker.
no excuses. You are kidding me. I could pull 20 out of the air. I could wake up from a drunken stupor and still give you 8. There's plenty of excuses. They shouldn't matter, but people will find excuses shorter. I mean, Thomas Partey's missing. That's an excuse.
Oh,
The Emperor's missing. That's an excuse. Saka's tired. Oh, that's an excuse. Lacazette's not playing very well. That's an excuse. There's plenty of excuses. So don't worry about people finding excuses. They'll find excuses. They'll rush to the excuse bank, make the withdrawal, and put it online straight away. They're already making excuses. We're making excuses for not getting fourth from the position we were in. All of a sudden, it was an overachievement, which is true enough. At the beginning of the season, after we lost our first 3 games, challenging for fourth would be an overachievement. However, where we were 3 weeks ago, not challenging for fourth, is a disappointment. And that you can't get away from that. You've got to look, when you go back, you look to your last reference point, where you could have gone from there. Not where you could have gone from 2 years ago, or the 3rd game in of the season. We were at a point where we should have been winning enough games to get top 4. Now we're at a point where it looks unlikely we'll get top 4. And excuses, there's excuses everywhere. The only one nobody's willing to use is our manager's fucked it up. No one wants to use that excuse. That's honestly, you go to the bank now, the excuse bank, shells and shells and shells of Arteta fucked up. Nobody's picking them off saying, I'll have this excuse. They all want the injury excuse or the tired excuse. Or so there you go. Don't you worry
Ehab,
about having excuses.
so what are you buying the excuses, Ehab? You have been without us for 3 weeks at least.
Yeah.
Lost 3 losses in 5, Ehab. To the likes of the mighty Crystal Palace, Brighton. So which shelf are you which excuse shelf are you scoring? Are you climbing on a ladder to get up there? Come on, no, you have to tell us.
My excuse is that I haven't done this podcast in 2 weeks and we've lost both games. So maybe I'm the good luck charm that the Arsenal hasn't been using lately. I think, I don't know, man. There should be no excuses. We were in a position to get top 4. We are still in a good position. We're just on a down spiral. I don't think Tottenham can win 7 in a row. I think Tottenham, best they can do is win 5. They're still gonna drop 2 games. They're gonna drop 4 or 6 points at least. So we still have a position. We still have a chance to do this. It's still in our hands, believe it or not. It's impossible. It's damn near impossible for Tottenham to win 7 in a row. If you go back, I think I was looking at it, and the last time they won 7 in a row was like 20 years ago or something, 2011, I think. So it's in our hands. It's still in our hands. We still can. We have to win. We are playing Chelsea, which is a tough game.
Yes.
But the rest of the games, we should win those. We should win Southampton. We should focus in it. We should stay in the driver's seat. Teams drop points. We talked about this the last time I was on when we were talking about the next 4 games, and it was vital that we got 9 out of 12. We didn't. We got 6. We lost to Liverpool and Crystal Palace, and we talked about Crystal Palace being not an easy game, and Vieira being this guy who takes it personal. If you guys watched this documentary about Michael Jordan, and he says he takes everything personally, he finds motivation in that. So Vieira, although he was never considered for the Arsenal position, he takes it personal. He's to perform, to audition. He's gonna keep doing this till he stops being till he becomes the Arsenal manager. You expect this from him, and you should go in. You should go in with the mentality that I'm going to ruin his party. I'm going to ruin his audition, and we didn't. The biggest problem at Arsenal is that we forgot we are the Arsenal. 13 leagues, blah blah blah, invincibles, 22 years of Champions League or 20 years of Champions League. We forgot that. Part of it because we want to defend the manager, and we want to make excuses for the manager, and we want to make excuses for the board, but we shouldn't. We should always expect better from ourselves. We should always expect that we are going into every season to win the whole thing, not even top 4. If we get that's why top 4 was an underachievement, because the Arsenal was underachieving in Wenger days, because it was the mentality that we are the Arsenal. We are one of the top 3 teams in England, one of the top 10 in Europe, in the world, probably. The history, the mentality, the firsts that we have achieved in our 130 years. And this has been forgotten for some reason. I don't know why. Nowadays we come into games not thinking that we can win. We are talking about Southampton being a must-win, which is a team that everybody's beating. Although they have a couple of errors where they drew Chelsea and I think Man City, but we should go in focusing on having 30 shots a game, focusing on having everybody in the box trying to score, being up 2-0 and still attacking. This should be the game plan. This is what we should expect. This is what how it should go. Um, you know, we will go into the absence of Party and Tavares and Kieran Tierney. It shouldn't affect us against a team like this. They are missing players, and they weren't. Southampton was not a good team to start with, and they do have injuries still. So
Oh,
this is not. I mean, injuries is a part of sport, so you have to accept it. It goes both ways. But as a team that spend this much money, we have who's this big, who has this history. We have to have no excuses. To be honest, everything is an excuse. It shouldn't be used. It shouldn't be valid. You could use them, but it shouldn't make any difference. We have to win.
well, Georgia, for a moment, your picture. Okay, your picture went flickering. I'm doing obviously, guys. I'm watching everything that's going on. But George, he says the Ehab just said it sounds like we have lost the mentality of winning. And I'm going to correct something Ehab just said. They don't have any injuries for this weekend. I went and checked on their website. What's they call his name? What I can never pronounce it. It starts with an H. Very European name. Hossein Stat or whatever. Guys, forgive me, but I can never pronounce his name. But George, how could we go into a game with a team that got trashed 5-0 by Chelsea the last time around? What has happened to Arsenal while we're going to such a game, thinking that, doubting that we can win?
Well, anybody who's watched us play for the last 2 years, it's plainly obvious. We don't create enough chances in a game to assume that we're going to win anything. I mean, if we do win, we have to score with the 2 or 3 chances we get and hope that they don't score with the 2 or 3 chances they get. We're just not a team that can be relied on to go anywhere and win. I can't think of a ground where we could go to where we could say we will definitely win that game on the performances of the last 2 years.
Well,
So that's
George.
where it comes from.
Well, George and fans, and I like you to like your opinion. We have been asking for your comments. Happily on George's website, blog, there are comments on this blog. But I'm going to suggest to you guys that the reason why we are going to grounds, well, I'm going to tell you, Granit Xhaka said it. We are going to grounds, not winning games the last few years because the players are fearful of making mistakes. Granit Xhaka said it. What is your thought on that, Ehab? We are going to Southampton with Lacazette fearing to strike. With if you bring Nketiah on, you can see that as if he's carrying the world on his shoulders. Perhaps I'm just oversaying it. What are your thoughts on that?
We've talked about this. This comes again at the manager. I'm sorry. There's one thing that everybody agrees on back in the Wenger days, that the manager was always the safety net. He's the shield that takes all the criticism from the media, from the people, and he just absorbs all of that and let them to focus on football. And that's why, if you watch the documentary, the Invincible documentary, you will see that people like Vieira or Petit or Gilberto Silva, they are talking about Wenger, and they would say, "Okay, I would die for that man. I would climb Mount Everest with that man," because he always protected them and let them focus on football. Nowadays, this is gone. You watch the games when we lose. Just right after the game, you listen to Mikel Arteta speak, and what he's talking about is, we didn't execute, we didn't do so and so, or if Xhaka gets red card, he's talking about this is unacceptable, and you shouldn't be doing that. You can tell him that in person. You can tell them that in training the next day when all the emotion settles. But you shouldn't be going in front of a couple of million people saying that on TV. And then this opens the door to people really blaming the players, and they start getting death threats. They start getting all this crap that somebody who's sitting in a bunker or a
Behind the
basement
keyboard. Behind their keyboard.
Behind the keyboard and behind the screen that they are prepared to say, and there's no limit to that because they're anonymous people who don't even own their own opinion.
Well, I'm gonna say to you guys, George, I've checked out the biggest blogger around, Arsenal blogger. You can figure that one out. And we're all fearful tomorrow. He reflects the fear very well. Whether we'll start with Lacazette or Nketiah, whether we'll have Martinelli up front or on playing on the wings, and most of all, who will play left back. For heaven's sake, George, my reaction to this is why at game 31 we have so much uncertainty and so much fear about who we are going to put on the field. Isn't that telling you a lot, George?
Yeah, I think brushed on something that's very important. That Granit Xhaka says that there's fear of making a mistake, and it comes from the crowd.
Yes.
And it probably does. It's been like that for a long time. Oohing and ahhing and huffing and puffing when a pass gets misplaced. But it's worse now because the manager's huffing and puffing and barking and saying they shouldn't have done this, they should have done that from the sidelines. If they lose possession of the ball,
they should shut the fuck up and sit on the bench.
He should shut the fuck up and sit on the bench. He should let them play, but they can't play and they're afraid to play. People say, "Oh, why are we so negative? Why are we passing the ball backwards? Why does Tierney pass the ball back to Gabriel instead of passing it forward to fucking Xhaka?" I'll tell you why. Because the pass forward might be a little bit more difficult. So they go for the easy option. You see them playing it around the back, playing it into midfield. It goes back again. And it's a fear of losing the ball because Arteta doesn't want them giving the ball away cheaply. And no, of course he shouldn't. We shouldn't give the ball away cheaply. But you have to take risks. You have to take fucking chances. I remember, my favourite player is Andre Arshavin.
Yes.
And he came out, his philosophy was, he said that if you want to win games of football, you have to take chances. And that chance means you risk losing the game. To create those chances, you have to risk losing the game. And we seem to not want to take the chances, to create the chances to win, because that will give chances to lose. And we saw it over the years with Arsene Wenger's team. We would create 20, 30 chances and we would lose because they score off the 2 or 3 chances that they got. Yes. However, most times we won because we kept creating loads of chances and we scored more goals than them. And they'd come to our house and we would fucking batter them. And we'd score 4 or 5, and they might get 1 or 2, but we're scoring 3, 4, 5. Now there's an adversity to doing that. They're afraid to do that. It's safety first, and it's the age-old equation. The more you attack, the more you risk losing in defence. Go to Ehab.
You need to do something about Cookie there. Ehab, while George is taking care of Cookie. Part of that problem, and I don't want us to moan. I'm talking about tomorrow's game, fans.
Yeah.
Part of the problem that he has is his selection, particularly left back. And I remember you saying, I want people to remember about right after the Nottingham Forest game in the Carabao Cup. You remarked that Arteta made a a fatal mistake by taking off Tavares before halftime, and that he was going
Yeah,
to regret it because he had destroyed the boy's confidence. And you know what? He brought him back for Crystal Palace, and he made two mistakes, and he hauled him off at halftime. This is coming back
yeah.
to haunt us, Ehab.
Quiet.
Of course it is, man. What you have to do is players make mistakes. Rinus Michels said one time they lost the
Tell
game
people
and
who he
they
was.
had
Tell people who was Renus. Renus. Tell people who Renus was.
he actually made what's called total football nowadays.
Right.
He's the guy.
Follow.
Voted the greatest manager of the 20th century.
Go ahead.
He took Ajax and Netherlands. Anyway, one of the meetings they asked him, one of the interviews they asked him, and they say, there was a couple of mistakes done at the back and it cost you a game. Why do you think the players made those two mistakes in this game? And he said it's because they play with the football and the football bounces. That's it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. The thing is, players are gonna make mistakes because sometimes, you kick a ball too long, you don't see a player coming, you kick a ball too short, the ball takes a funny bounce, it comes at you faster than you think about it. But you do this as many times as possible, and you do this a couple of times, and you make those mistakes, then you get used to it. You get more confident. What we should do. I mean, now we are missing Party and we're missing Tierney,
Yes.
and we have a viable replacement for those two guys. But the thing is, we haven't done anything to develop those guys because I don't think of anything that Party has given us that, and then he couldn't, or Lukonga couldn't. But
Exactly.
we kept playing Party through bad games and bad games and bad games. Kieran Tierney had an injury, and we had times when we played Cedric on the left or Chambers on the right, and Tommy on the left. And why?
But Tommy
Why
never.
did we
Tommy,
do that?
correction. Tommy never played left. But go ahead. I know what you're trying to say. But go ahead.
We played those kind of things. All
What he
Maitland-Niles,
did, what he did, he just trotted out the same old 11, found a way to fit them on the field. I think that's more accurate. But go ahead.
Yeah, this is what he should have given. He should have given confidence to those people because he is going to need them. It's impossible to keep playing with the same 11 players. It's when Tavares made that mistake in Nottingham, you don't take a guy after 30 minutes after he's been a month off. You do this, and you're gonna end up with no replacement. You are paying somebody who's just sitting around. And now we don't have. He's doing the same thing with Eddie and Ketia. Everybody. Lacazette is doing well in the whole of play, but he should have had an adjustment to fit Eddie in a couple of those games. Like Lacazette hasn't been scoring since when? January? Was it like something like that?
Like 15 games without a goal.
Yeah, he should have at least tried something on those games. We cannot keep thinking, okay, I can't afford to drop 3 points. You know why? Because you're just delaying the inevitable. No team, every team drops points. Even the Invincibles drop 24 points. And that's what you should know. You should work in. Your job is to find the best team. Because if you shall find yourself in a position down the stretch where you can compete, you have 11 players with 3 or 4 on the bench that I can rely on at any time in case fatigue, bad form, injury hits. Then I will have this team, and we had that luxury. We still have that luxury, but we've wasted it away. And maybe with time, Arteta will learn this. And to be fair to him, this is not something that you learn off the cup. This is not something that you just learn on your first day at the job. Some really good managers really cannot manage the depth of their team. It's still there. But he has to learn this if we are going to keep going forward.
George,
Yeah,
what will he learn? What will he do tomorrow after all of this? Go ahead, George. You want to say
I
something?
don't know. But before we go on to that, this idea that Arteta will improve as he learns, I'm not fully on board with this because he doesn't appear to be learning up to now. He's had 2.5 years and he's making the same mistakes. And just because you keep doing something, you'll get better to a point, but it's a law of diminishing returns. Someone who has it in them to be a great manager with a lot of games will become a great manager. But someone who doesn't have it in them can manage those games, and they won't become a great manager because they've hit the ceiling. Now, why are we assuming that Mikel Arteta's ceiling is so high as a manager? He may be an excellent coach, but I don't see it. I don't see why we should assume that he is going to become a good manager just by managing more games. If that was the case, everybody, given a lot of games, would become a good manager. There's nothing to suggest he's special and will achieve great manager status. So that's my rant on that. So, sorry, what's the question you want to ask me about?
So what will he do tomorrow then? Because we're talking about previewing the game. What will he do?
He'll do the same as he's done week in, week out. He'll fucking bodge it up. He'll have learned his lesson about Xhaka. So it'll be Xhaka in midfield. God knows who will play at left back. I mean, he's like Ehab says, he should be playing our left back at left back, but he'll pluck somebody out, which will leave a gap somewhere else, which he'll fill by moving somebody else to a position that's not suited. We'll end up with a fucking jigsaw and all the pieces in the wrong places. And people will use that as an excuse. You know, what do you expect him to do? What I expect him to do is play our best players in their best positions as much as possible. And
so who will, George?
He's going to play somebody at left back, play Bakary Saka. He's not attacking very well at the moment.
You mean Saka?
Saka. Play Saka.
Yeah.
Left
Bukayo, you confused me, George. You said Bakary. I thought you were talking about Sagna.
Yeah. Put him there and play. I don't know. Maybe either play Smith Rowe and Martinelli and Lacazette if you want to keep it the same as possible, or bring Pepe in and move Martinelli to number 9. Do something. But, you know, but he won't because he relies on the young lad to get goals and assists, which he stopped doing recently anyway. So maybe take the pressure off him and give him a chance to win. Or go back to a 3. Bring Rob Holding in. Move bloody Ben White out to
right back.
Move Cedric over to left back. Do fucking something. Something better than this shit we've been seeing in the last 2 games. So I have no idea what he'll do. If that's the answer to the question. Because you can't expect him to do the right thing because history has shown us that he'll repeat the same mistake over and over again. Nobody with half a brain would have thought playing Granit Xhaka at left back was a good idea. Nobody. There isn't a fucking coach, fan, pundit in the world that would have looked at that fucking team and thought the best option is to play Xhaka at left back. Not a great man. It doesn't take. You don't need fucking 200 games managing Arsenal to know that.
You have two challenges there. You have two challenges. George is not convinced of the thesis that 200 games or whatever will make Arteta better.
Oh, it will make him better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it won't make him better. Of course it will. But will it make him great?
Yes. Okay. Ehab, get a stab at that.
Yeah, actually, my argument for Arteta getting better is, first of all, he fits the
No, no,
profile.
no,
If
no,
I
no,
had
no,
his
no, no, no. You're not gonna get away with that. Is it
no,
gonna
no,
make
I
him
will tell
great?
you.
Is it gonna make him great? That's what George is
The
saying.
thing is, he's somebody who played. I have two points. I don't know how far they would take my point, but first of all, he's played under good managers. Moyes at Everton, Arsene Wenger, and 3 years sitting next to Pep. Now, on paper, he should have gotten everything right. It's the application that he's struggling with. The second thing is a recommendation from Arsene Wenger, who, when Arteta retired, he said, if we are lucky, then we will get to see, if football is lucky, we will get to see Mikel Arteta as a manager, um, which is a huge recommendation. I think that they saw something in him, all of them, like Moyes to make him a captain, Wenger to make him captain, and to say that, and Pep Guardiola to from he could have had anybody, he could have had Javi as his assistant, Pep Guardiola, but he didn't. He just picked Mikel Arteta and put him next to him. So if I had his CV in front of me, I'm gonna guess. So this guy is gonna be a good manager. The thing is that 2 years and 3 years in terms of football, in the life of a football club, is not the biggest. It's not a long thing to judge by, but the thing is a long term to judge by. But the thing is, football has become so impatient with managers that I think Ronald Koeman was sacked after for 10 games or something like that in
Oh,
six
he was
games.
useless.
And
He was found to be
yeah,
useless.
yeah, yeah,
He went to
yeah. It
He
doesn't.
went
It
to
doesn't.
Southampton. He was a waste. So let's talk about Go ahead.
Yeah, 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 regardless of it's right, if it's right or wrong, firing a manager 10 games in is just shocking. There's a bunch of examples of that. Like we just heard that Daesh has been sacked, and
Yay!
you'd never. You don't imagine that. I mean, Burnley has no business whatsoever fucking ever being in the Premier League, and now that they are in the Premier League, they're too good for the guy who got them there. Anyway, it's this is the thing. This is my response to it. Um, he's improved. What I hear from the players, that he's with the players that actually don't have to, like Chaka, for example, they don't have to give him PR, but they are being really generous to him with their words and their praise, and I think part of it has to be true. So hopefully I'm not wrong on this, because I do believe that he's going to improve to at least be as good as Javi at Barca at the
Well,
at
you're
the
very
time being.
optimistic, and I'm not going to join. I'm not going to use this. No, we're not going to use this blog, right, as a platform
uh,
to be the anti-Arteta, and we try to avoid that. We try to explore his weaknesses because there are people online, the PR, and
the head
Stuart's the photographer. What's his last name?
Mc,
I mean this
McFarlane.
Yeah, this filleting of of Arteta was just over the top. But the
Yeah,
PR is fake, right? But just remember something
yeah.
here. No, just a minute. Just remember, audience. Just remember something.
Okay.
A manager, and Wenger said this. A manager is judged by his results. I mean, when
Yeah,
you lost, Wenger said he would vomit. Wenger,
yeah,
every game you had to win. It doesn't matter how nicely you dress. It doesn't not. Wenger recommended a lot of French coaches. Ehab. A lot of guys he recommended, and they got big jobs in
ah,
England, and they fail. I am not convinced that a recommendation by Wenger alone is the end all. It's your record. You know what I mean? So I'm just
yeah.
putting that to you. However, what are your you're an ex-coach and the guys watch football and you're now out of it. I mean, we're not saying you're in it, but what is you're not currently in it, but you have more professional background than both me and George put together because we have none. So what would your recommendation to Arteta for tomorrow?
Actually, George nailed it. You have to play three at the back. And he should have done this a couple of times this season because he has three excellent center backs. Actually, Holding is better than the other two, and he's sitting on the bench.
Sacrilege! Gabriel.
I'm serious. I mean, but it's the whole he's a Wenger buy, and he's those people cost us 80 million. So we have to play them, and we won some games with them. So we have to keep playing them. But to go three at the back? First of all, Rob Holding is a professional. You play him again, he's going to show up, and he's going to be ready. But you're gonna help him physically and mentally if you play him tomorrow in a back three, and it's gonna give you a chance to change it up a little bit against a team that you're supposed to beat without coaching, like a team like Southampton. If you give our team the ball and you say, "Go ahead, guys, play," they should beat them like 2-0. So you don't ruin it by coaching the team. So you have to do is play.
Who are you going to three at the back, who in the middle, and who up front? Go ahead, finish that up, wrap that for me.
Three at the back with Holding in the middle. Play Xhaka and the Nenny in the middle. Or Congo if you like him, and on the flanks, on the right and left, you go with Saka and Smith Rowe, and up top you go Pepe, Lacazette, and Martinelli on the three. And this is going to give you a brutal offensive force. It's going to take Odegaard out. You can play him on the right and bring him in. They did this at Real Sociedad a couple of times. Just bring him on the right, like what they did with Hazard at Chelsea.
Yes.
But yeah, or the other guy, what's his name? I forgot. Anyway, you can play him on the right and left, and bring him in every time. It's not a bad thing. We have seen Wenger play Ozil on. In a 3-4-3 as a right forward, or as a left forward, because he could have Giroud and Sanchez in front of him. So we can if he can do that tomorrow, it doesn't have to work 100%. It will give him a training, and he will get the 3 points out of it. This team is supposed to beat Southampton. He can just play those players. You don't have the left back. If you don't want to play Tavares, although I still think even in a 3-4-3 he would do great on the left. Tavares, he would do great on the left because he's more offensive. He's more of a TAA Arnold kind of player. Was his offense is much more superior to his defense, and Alexander Arnold, and you should adjust to the strength of your players, not this is my system and I'm gonna play it even if they show their weaknesses. It's not how you do it. You cannot keep banging on a player. As George said, you cannot keep screaming at the players from the sideline because you are not going to teach these players football, in 90 minutes or in the 15 minutes in the middle. Those guys know everything about football. They're not going to improve in that time. They are not going to do anything within the game. So you just play to their strengths and highlight it.
George,
so that's it. That's my answer.
I'm going to cut you there, but George, 3-4-3. Are you recommending that?
Yeah, if it were me, I would be holding Gabriel and Ben White. I'd have Cedric on the right, and I put Saka on the left.
Wing back.
Both, wing back. So it's like 3-4-3.
Who is in the middle?
and the three in the well, obviously Xhaka and El Neni,
Right.
and out front you can have a bit of a dabble. You can change it during the course of the game, but I'd start with Lacazette, and I'd have Smith Rowe and Martinelli either side of him.
You know, I'm gonna leave it at that. Guys, we talk about football, and we talk about the love of our club and the desire to see our club. As Ehab said, this club has always competed for top honors. Well, actually, Ehab, there was a fallow period before Wenger came, but this club always aspired for the best. But there is something wrong in the water, guys. The rise of social media. Oh, I mean the fear. Fans, football, Arsenal fans. Granit Xhaka said when he's walking to the tunnel, he doesn't look up for the last 7 meters. He can see the hate. He can see the despise. He doesn't look in their eyes. Something is wrong with that, guys. Something is wrong when players, somebody as tough as Granite, that's Granite, literal that metaphor. And I'm just saying that as I end this podcast. You know, we have too many of our fans, and these are the ones on social media, generating hate and fear for clicks and for followers. And for for money. Yeah.
Sorry, Shotter. I accept what you're saying.
Yes.
But we're no worse than every other club.
You think?
No, we're no worse than any other club. They're all at it. They'll turn on a player in the drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. Some of the great players, and they'll turn against them. We're no different. We're not especially evil or set against the players because we just think we are compared to what we were and what we grew to love. That time has gone. I don't think we are particularly I don't think our fan base is any worse than any other fan. And it's easy to say we're the worst fan base in the country. Well, we're fucking not. They're all shit. They all want more than what's reasonably attainable.
And
it's a sign of times.
My problem is...
It is a sign of the time.
Well, give George a chance, Ehab.
My problem now is that for years we heard Wenger had to go because we were accepting mediocrity. And now we're aspiring to mediocrity. And that's okay. It's fucking mad. The tables have turned. I mean, it's ridiculous. What was once regarded as mediocrity is what we aspire to get in 5 or 7 years' time, for fuck's sake, according to fucking our club photographer, who now seems to be promoted to be a PR man.
Yes.
It's a fucking joke.
I think you have a point there, George, because I'm trying to define what it is. And I think, you know what I mean? There's just too many of our fans that accept. They used to be saying that, we should come first. And now they're aspiring for mediocrity. What about you, Ehab, on that note?
It's a sign of time. It's a sign of times. He's right. George is right. I mean, they booed Messi, for fuck's sake, in Paris. They think that he's not good enough to play for Paris. And yeah, it's a sign of times, man. It has to change. It will not, sadly, but you cannot keep doing this. You cannot, wish like Xhaka when he was talking. He's like, I will kill your kid, or your wife is a whore. Wife. I'm like, come on, man. Yeah, he goes, come on, man, just come on. Like he's expecting people to be better. Sadly, they are not.
Yep, that's true. Sadly, they are not. Guys, on that note, again, I take from this, and there's no excuses for not beating Southampton tomorrow. But the excuse bank is filled, as George said, up to the top shelf. But let's hope we go down there tomorrow and get 3 points, George. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much for Ehab, who disappeared for a moment. Until after the game, George.
See you then. Bye.
See you then. Bye.